In 2014, the creator of the mobile game Flappy Bird was making $50,000 a day. He had the entire world's attention. A week later, he deleted the app and vanished from the internet, stating the massive success was costing him his peace of mind. Why do the people who win the game so often want to escape it? Because of the exact trap that is quietly wearing you down right now. You know the feeling. You stare at your ceiling at 2 a.m., bathed in the blue light of your phone, calculating exactly how far behind you are compared to the people you went to high school with. You feel completely ordinary, invisible, left behind in the background of a story where everyone else seems to have the lead role. But what if I told you that the people you are so desperately envying are currently praying for a way out of the very life you want? There is an ancient Buddhist fable that holds the blueprint to modern human dissatisfaction. It starts with a crow. He was deeply, profoundly exhausted by his own existence. He was entirely black, blending into the shadows, ordinary enough to disappear. His feathers were heavy with the cold rain and the sheer weight of feeling invisible, scavenging for scraps while the world walked right past him, ignoring him entirely. One afternoon, overwhelmed by the quiet humiliation of being overlooked, he began to weep. Below his tree sat a monk in deep meditation. A single tear from the crow fell, landing directly on the monk's cheek. The monk opened his eyes, looked up at the sorrowful bird, and asked a very simple question. Why? The crow broke down. Because no one values me. I am ordinary. I am common. I am discarded. I would trade anything just to escape the shadow of this life. The monk looked at the crow with deep compassion. I can change you, he offered. With a single mantra, I can turn you into anything you desire. But we are racing the sun. If the sun goes down tonight, and you have not found the happiest bird in the world to model yourself after, the mantra will fade, and you will remain this crow forever. The crow didn't hesitate. He had hours left. He wiped his tears, spread his wings, and flew toward the illusion of perfection. The crow found the swan, and was struck by a wave of intense envy. The swan was immaculate, white as milk, gliding across a pristine, glass-like lake without making a single ripple. It was the picture of absolute peace. The crow landed by the water and said, You are flawless. You are pure light. Everyone who sees you is captivated. You must be the happiest creature to ever exist. The swan stopped moving. The lake was utterly still. For a moment, even the wind seemed to disappear. The swan turned its long, elegant neck. No, my friend, the swan whispered. I am completely hollow. The crow was stunned. How could perfection feel hollow? I am white, the swan explained softly. White is a blank canvas. It is safe, yes, but it is empty. I have no color, no personality, no friction. I am just existing in a state of predictable purity. The parrot has color. The parrot must be the happiest bird in the world. Flawless, clean, empty, and somehow still unhappy. In psychology, there is a term for this, the hedonic treadmill. We convince ourselves that if we can just reach a state of total comfort, we will finally be happy. But our minds are actually wired to crave growth, friction, and meaning. The swan represents the trap of vanilla success. Think of the people you know who did everything right. The flawless corporate job. The spotless, minimalist apartment. From the outside, their life is a pristine, white lake. But inside, they are often drained by the sheer predictability of their own safety. With the sun inching lower, the crow realized that being flawless wasn't enough. He needed to be vibrant. He needed to be seen. He took off, searching for the parrot. The crow found the parrot in the jungle canopy. It was a masterpiece of nature. Vivid reds, electric blues, brilliant yellows, darting frantically through the leaves. "Parrot," the crow shouted, "you are a living piece of art. You have color. You have attention. You must be the happiest bird alive." But the parrot didn't look happy. The parrot looked exhausted, scanning the trees in a state of high alert. "Happy," the parrot scoffed, its voice trembling. "I am living in an endless performance. Do you know what these colors do? They attract eyes, and eyes demand a show. People want to own this color. Every single day, I live in constant anticipation that a net will drop over my head, and I will be locked inside a cage in a crowded room, forced to perform for their amusement. I don't own myself, crow. I am a captive to my own visibility." Welcome to the modern attention economy, the trap of fame, virality, and endless social validation. I know this trap intimately. Even while building this channel, lying awake at night, worried I wasn't growing fast enough, trying to paint my feathers like the parrot, changing my personality just to get the algorithm to notice me. And it cost me my inner peace. When you become the parrot, you no longer belong to yourself. You belong to the crowd. The moment you acquire peak visibility, your primary emotion stops being joy. It becomes the heavy weight of maintaining it. "I am not happy," the parrot told the crow. "But the peacock is a king. He must be the happiest." The sky was turning orange. The crow flew frantically, desperately searching for the ultimate symbol of status. He didn't find the peacock in a forest. He found him in a zoo. The crow looked down in awe. The peacock was unfurling a tapestry of feathers so magnificent that it looked like a galaxy of stars. The crowd watched in complete awe. The zookeepers treated him like royalty. The crow smiled. He had found it. He had found the ultimate version of happiness. He just needed to wait for the crowd to leave, so he could ask for the mantra. Night fell. The crowds dispersed. The crow slipped through the cold iron bars. The air was heavy, smelling of damp concrete, and the echoing silence of an empty zoo. He approached the majestic bird in the dark. "I have finally found it," the crow said. "You are a king. Thousands travel just to look at you. You are the happiest bird on the planet." The peacock let out a long, ragged sigh. "I used to think I was the luckiest," the peacock whispered. "But look closely." Slowly, the peacock turned. The illusion shattered. Up close, his feathers were frayed and damaged. His eyes were heavy with a profound, quiet exhaustion. "My beauty built this prison," the peacock explained. "Because I am extraordinary, I am a permanent exhibit, and it gets heavier. When the humans get close enough, blinded by the flash of their cameras, they reach through the bars. They pull at my feathers, taking pieces of my dignity home to put on their walls. My status doesn't bring me joy, crow. It costs me my freedom." Sociologists sometimes refer to this as relative deprivation theory, but the truth is much more grounded. It is the apex trap. We envy the billionaires, the A-list celebrities, the apex players of society. We envy them because we only see the golden feathers. We never see the invisible cages constructed by their own success, the loss of privacy, the weight of constant expectation, the isolation at the top. We see the crown, but we never see the weight of it. The crow stared at the exhausted peacock. His worldview entirely shifted. The sun was down. The deadline had passed. He was going to remain a crow forever. If the swan is Harlow, and the parrot is captive, and you are trapped, the crow stammered, then who is the happiest bird in the world? The peacock looked the crow up and down. A look of deep, profound respect crossed his face. I have lived in this zoo for years, the peacock said. I have watched every bird get captured, traded, and put on display. And I have realized something. You, the crow, are the only bird they do not want. You are not white enough to display. You are not colorful enough to cage. You are not majestic enough to pull apart. Because you are ordinary, you are the only bird in the entire world who is truly free. You can go anywhere. You belong to no one but yourself. And that kind of freedom is rarer than people think. Every time I look up at the sky through these iron bars, I have only one wish. I wish I was a crow. The crow didn't walk back to the monk. He flew, faster than he had ever flown in his life. The cold wind against his black feathers didn't feel like a burden anymore. It felt like pure freedom. He was untouchable, not because he was perfect, but because he was free. He landed in front of the monk, out of breath, his chest heaving but smiling. Keep your mantra, the crow said. I don't want to be anything else. In a world that constantly monetizes your insecurity, comparison is a quiet trap. We are culturally programmed to look at what we lack and project absolute happiness onto those who have it. But there will always be a swan with more peace, a parrot with more attention, and a peacock with more status. If you spend your life desperately wanting to be in the cage, eventually you will get there. And only then will you realize that the ultimate privilege wasn't flawless beauty, endless attention, or peak status. The ultimate privilege was always your freedom. This is the crow advantage. Protect your freedom. Stay the crow.